Okay, I'm going to go a little broader since I don't represent a company and try to just give you six. I'm taking Tom Khalil's idea of telling you how many things I'm going to tell you. Six different thoughts to maybe provoke your discussion. And I will say that the most frustrating thing you can do to me is ask me to talk for 5 minutes on innovation, because I've spent the last couple of years thinking about it and writing about it. But number one, and this is a conference about innovation. Interesting, if you ask this audience what innovation is, you'll actually probably get a lot of different answers between invention and innovation, and there may be some similarity, and I won't take the time to ask, but I actually think of innovation as broader than any new product or service, and I like to think of innovation as a state of mind. And in the end, what innovation is all about is whether a person, an organization, a country, the world, has the capacity for change. And if you have the capacity for change, then you will have an environment in which you can have new things happen. There's lots of different types of innovation, and I've noticed as we've kicked around ideas and tools and management strategies, there hasn't been a lot of discussion about that, and you can go from incremental improvements, which are innovation, Six Sigma-like improvements, all the way to very disruptive new discoveries in research. All of that is part of innovation, and all are important. You can't do without one or the other, but you need to have them in balance. And whether you're an organization, you need to think about your innovation portfolio. As a country, as a planet that is trying to solve problems, we need to think about these different types of innovation because they are managed differently. How you manage incremental innovation with metrics and measurement is very, very different than how you nurture more disruptive innovation. And you need to organize around the portfolio that you want to have. And in fact, only incremental innovation is really customer-driven. So that question that was asked about the statistic of asking the audience, if you are going with wisdom of the crowd or asking the audience, it actually, in fact, will lead you towards more incremental improvement than more disruptive change. Because in general, customers know what they have, they know what the next step is, but they don't know what might be or what could happen. So yeah, there's a big drive, and it's a very important thing for companies to be customer-driven. But if you are a company that is only customer-driven, then you need to look elsewhere for some of the more disruptive ideas because they won't come from within the company. We have a lot of resources on this planet that are at risk. We talk a lot about sustainability. I like to apply the term sustainability to innovation also because I happen to believe that innovation or deep ongoing innovation is somewhat at risk. And I talk my book came up with a framework of talking about an innovation ecosystem, which I will not go into in detail here. But the reason I talk about an ecosystem is biological ecosystems need to be in balance to sustain life. And innovation ecosystems need to be in balance to sustain life. And let me just say couple quick things about that. What is in an innovation ecosystem? There needs to be a research community, a development community, and an application community in which ideas and needs flow between. And you need balance between them. If you do not invest in long-term research, you'll have innovation today, you will not have it 20 years from now. So you need the right balance. If you don't invest in the application and the behavioral change, it doesn't matter what new products you have because they won't be accepted. So you need balance between those communities. There are a number of different levers you can pull to influence innovation, but the two most important are leadership and culture. And why is that? The role of leaders in innovation, in my opinion, is to set a vision, to resource innovation, to have a commitment and the courage to create a culture, and then to get out of the way and to get the barriers out of the way, because in the end, innovation is bottom up, and that's why the culture is so important. But one of the things that I think is really important to anybody who is leading innovation is we talk a lot about challenges, and here especially talking about prizes. And many people think, okay, threats motivate innovation. Well, no. Challenges motivate innovation. Threats, which create fear, actually kill innovation. So what's the difference? It is easier actually to just communicate a threat to your people, whether it's a competitive threat, the meltdown of the financial system, global warming, or terrorism. But real leaders will take that threat and translate it into challenges, use those challenges to rally people, to get them involved, and then you turn on innovation. So the way you lead, and leading through inspiration versus leading through fear, is a very, very important part of innovation. Culturally, how do you describe an innovative culture? Well, actually, people will say it's very hard to describe. I think of 5 key values, or core values I call them, that need to be in balance if you're going to be an innovative person or have an innovative culture. You need questioning, which is both curiosity as well as the ability to self-assess. Self-assessment is almost as important as that initial asking of the question and figuring out how to frame the question. You must have the right attitude towards risk and an attitude towards failure for people to be able to take risk. You need openness to imagine, to collaborate, open to be to serendipity. You need patience because innovation takes time to grow, and you need trust. Because without trust, people will not be open, they will not question, they will not take risks. So you need the balance of those 5 core values. And just an interesting example is if you look at the financial crisis, we took risk without asking questions, without the openness or transparency as to what we were taking risks on, impatiently, and we collapsed, and then we lost trust, and nobody knew who to lend to whom, and we ended up in the situation that we had. So that's unfortunately too good a proof point of where an innovation culture breaks down. We're at a conference talking about open innovation. Let me say 2 things about that, which is that open innovation through partnering or acquiring or prizes is absolutely a critical part of a set of tools that you need to have in your tool chest for your portfolio. But I maintain that you need to make sure that you have a commitment to internal innovation also. And many companies, as they try to change their culture to become more open, they go too far in that direction. Because if you don't have any internal innovation, you won't attract the talent that you need to collaborate with people outside. Relationships that are smooth, partnerships that, 2 surfaces that are smooth, don't connect well. 2 surfaces that can interrelate or like a puzzle, connect well and firmly. And if you don't have those resources internally, you won't be able to collaborate in the right way to connect with others. So be very careful about that pendulum when you look at open innovation, of which I am a fan. I just am cautioning. A word about prizes. I'm a big believer in prizes, but realize it's a tool in the tool chest for one type of innovation portfolio. There's no question that the most important part of a prize is how you frame the question. If you frame the question narrowly, you're going to get incremental innovation. You frame it more broadly or longer term, you'll get more disruptive. The biggest issue with prizes is the loss of serendipity. That if people become so focused on your goal and your prize, they may not pay attention to the serendipity that is happening around the edges of innovation. And so if you can get a combination of focusing on a prize, but maybe somebody who collects the things that fall out along the way for future research, you get the best of both worlds. And then let me just finish by saying, the future is going to be very different from what has driven innovation in the past. As we look forward, look around this conference, the industries that drove innovation and drove our economy over the last several decades are now mature. And we're looking at new sets of challenges and new growth industries that will get us out of the economic hole that we're in, whether it is energy or in the environment, whether it is a broad definition of healthcare. And to do that, we need to realize that there needs to be a lot of individual innovation. So whether you are an investor, whether you are a technologist, whether you are someone who writes for the press or organizes conferences or work in government, it's going to take a lot of personal innovation as people retrain, refocus, and adapt to what can really drive our economy going forward and not just cling to those industries that brought us to where we are today.